All right, we're live. Reacting, instant reaction to Utah's 32-10 win over Arizona State. I think we all kind of understand what this game was. Arizona State down, Sam Levitt. Utah came into this one and ultimately took care of business, did what they needed to do. And, obviously, given the conditions, I thought, really impressed with how they handled business.
Absolutely. When you think of the Sam Levitt news, obviously that's what everybody's glued to. It takes a little bit of muster out of the game, but the end result, uh, it's hard to think that one guy was going to make that difference. And really happy with what we saw from conference tonight.
Yeah, agreed. I think 276 yards on the ground total, all 6 touchdowns for Utah coming on the ground as well, which again speaks to the conditions. Utah only threw 13 passes tonight. Just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's we've been talking about it all week. We said Utah's going to need to establish a run game. It's something's got to give. Utah rushing attack, Arizona State run defense. Something's got to give there. We saw that tonight. Something totally gave, and to the tune of 276 yards. Utah handled business.
Yeah, obviously wet, obviously cold.
Oh,
We're both shivering. It's a cold one, and so Utah had to weather the conditions in a way. And I thought they came out. It was kind of a unique start, obviously given the weather and given the conditions with the lightning, sort of delaying some of the pregame activities with the team. It was an abbreviated warm up where Utah came out with 25 minutes left instead of their typical 65 minutes, go back into the locker room and then back out. They Whittingham shared that it was just one brief abbreviated warm up, which I think was the right approach, obviously. And the team came out with great energy, and I thought the crowd was really tremendous. Obviously, late filling in because we didn't know when the game was starting.
Yeah.
Given the conditions. But again, just a really, really strong start for Utah, which has been, not a common theme. I think a common theme, in some of these games. I shouldn't say a common theme, but it's been fairly consistent outside of a couple games. But finishing in the red zone has been Utah's big thing this year. 28 to 29 now in the red zone.
Yeah, no, it's the red zone productivity has been a breath of fresh air, to say the absolute least. It's been a frustration point the last couple of years. Seeing Utah perform in the red zone, it says that Utah can finish drives. And you look at the 4th and 2 to get things going for Utah, 4th and 2, sitting there thinking, just in this kind of game, just take the chip shot field goal, and Dampier scampers into the end zone, and it's like, all right, I'll shut up.
Yeah. No, I mean, it really was that. And, we talked about it on the pregame show that we did Thursday night, the live show. I thought a key for me coming into this game was going to be first down rushing production, right? I put out the stat, 5.4 yards per carry for Utah on first down coming into this game. Arizona State only giving up 1.3 yards per carry defensively. And so it was, again, sort of that unstoppable force versus the immovable object. What we saw tonight was Utah generating 6.4 yards per carry on first down, which set the tone. And Devon being healthy, he looks so explosive, so dynamic, so slippery, at times elusive. We saw Dampier at his athletic best tonight.
Yeah, no, he was call him a quarterback, call him a running back, call him a leader, call him whatever you want. Tonight, the way he was able to move with the football, the way that he was able to stop on a dime, change directions. He was a tough get down tonight for the Arizona State defense, and a lot of credit to him in the game that he brought tonight.
Yeah. And then another big key, obviously the matchup with Jordan Tyson. And given the quarterback situation for Arizona State, we didn't see, that attack at its best. Certainly we'll, acknowledge that. But I thought in terms of just what we saw from Smith Snowden and from the defensive secondary in particular, certainly their best performance of the season. It looks like they've made progress, pretty consistently this season. and I thought Snowden was really, really sharp. Some of the flags that were thrown, at his way, were questionable. The one in particular, with the ball 8 feet over his head, was a really questionable.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Looking at the stat sheet here, 16 targets to Jordan Dyson, 8 receptions. That's a guy that catches a lot of footballs, and hold hands at 8 receptions for only 40 yards. That was something that Utah needed to see, to see that type of wide receiver that can totally take over a game as he has at moments in this season. To see him get bottled up by this Utah secondary, I think it's something that they should feel great about.
Yeah. And, another big thing, obviously talking about the run game and the rushing attack, I thought the offensive line set the tone for Utah in this one. When people go back and watch this game, you're going to have a lot of fun watching what this offensive line did, generating movement, connecting on blocks at the second and third level.
Yep.
That Dampier run from about 20 yards out, I think it was a 24-yard touchdown run. He had Soloto Moiai, getting a first level defender out of the way. And then Spencer Fano getting to the third level, getting in the way of a safety, clearing the path for Dampier to get into the end zone. That was one play in particular, but a number of them where the offensive line just getting consistent positive movement for the rushing attack. And, they took care of business, their guys behind them.
Absolutely, and that's something we touched on earlier. As we wanted to see the offensive line kind of answer that call. Coming into this game, that ASU has a stingy defense. They're equipped in ways to be able to just take away the run, and they've been great at it thus far this season. But tonight, Utah's offensive line was able to give that push up front that we didn't see a few weeks ago when Texas Tech rolled into town, and it was a good that
Sly, my
game
guy.
was,
See Sly.
that proved to be an opportunity to get better, learn, and get stronger. And shout out to the O Block. They absolutely answered the call tonight.
Yeah. And then one other thing, with this, I think we got some clarity with what Utah is going to do in the defensive secondary, with the loss of Nate Ritchie, who didn't obviously play tonight. We saw Teo Johnson, Jackson Benny as the starting safety duo, with Smith Snowden, Scooby Davis, Blake Cotton being the primary cornerbacks for Utah. Whittingham shared in the post-game press conference that, what they plan on doing moving forward is, Benny and Teo at the safeties. And then they're going to move Smith around when they go in their 4-3 packages with 3 linebackers on the field. They'll move Snowden outside, with Scooby on the other side. When they go nickel, Smith inside with Blake and Scooby on the outside. So it'll be fun. Jeff, what's up, man? But I think we got a good idea of what that group in particular is going to look like moving forward.
Yeah, no, and it was fun to watch Benny slide back to safety role that he feels natural at. He has experience there, knows what he's doing back there. I think it's a great fill in for what Utah is dealing with in the safety room. I think that there's only room to grow from there. I thought the secondary looked awesome tonight.
Yeah, I did. I thought, again, we understand the context around the Arizona State offense without Sam Levitt. It is, a significant piece to their puzzle. It is the biggest piece to the puzzle there for them, and certainly hindered their level of execution. Jeff Sims, he's a 6-year guy, has experience. This, like we talked about, the stage wasn't going to be too big for him. He's played in a lot of power level conference games, but just didn't have the reps, didn't have chemistry with the guys around him. But they came out and made it clear they wanted to try and connect on a couple of deep shots. They tested that secondary, and Utah, answered.
Absolutely didn't find too many of those moments where it felt like Utah secondary got burned. Didn't feel like there was those blown coverages. Obviously, got to watch this back, watch it in front of a TV, wait for Andrew Crane to break down the film. But No, I mean, Sims was 18 for 38, threw the ball a lot. That's almost 3 times as many throws as Utah had. And then to be 3.4 yards per carry on the ground, just shout out to the defense. I mean, shout outs all around. Great team effort, great complimentary football. I know that was something that people were kind of craving, like to see from this Utah team, and saw that tonight. And Utah fans, hey, no Sam Levitt. 42-10 is 42-10.
Yeah.
Sam Levitt plays this game. It's still going to be a lot to a little. Great win for Utah, no matter how you chop it up. And
Yep.
Speaking of the fans, just want to shout that out.
Yeah, big time.
There's some moments sitting in the concourse waiting to when should we go in? When should we go in? And coming in, it's like, oh, is this going to be a 50% full game? No, it felt pretty good. The crowd was loud. The people that were here were engaged. There were a lot of red ponchos. Like, people brought the stuff today, and it was cold. So that juice, that energy was felt on the field. It was felt by the team, and stuff like that contributes to the results that you see tonight on the scoreboard.
No, definitely. And the players talked about that, and Coach Whittingham talked about it a little bit, but the players really acknowledged and gave a shout out to the fans that showed up, that were loud. It made it a difference. John Henry Daly, made sure to credit the false starts to the fan base, and that's been a growing number we've seen over the season. And again, given the conditions and the uncertainty around when things were going to start happening, fans deserve a lot of credit for showing up for this one, because it is freezing cold. We're struggling through this.
Shivering.
Yeah,
Shivering.
we're struggling through this, but shout out to the fans. They deserve a big shout out for tonight. I'm gonna get the Kyle Whittingham press conference loaded up here, and I'm gonna run that, and we're going to get somewhere warm. So when I'm done with the Whittingham presser, we'll probably be in a different location because it is cold. But I'm going to get the Whittingham presser going here, right here.
Really proud of our guys, Devon Dampier especially. We didn't throw the ball a ton tonight, but it was very efficient when we did throw it. And he ran. He's back to health. He was been hobbled a little bit the last few weeks, but he's back to 100%, and that was more what you saw tonight is more of what he's capable of. Offensive line outstanding. Rushed for almost 300 yards, and the offensive line is a big reason for that. Obviously, it was good to see Daniel Bray continue to add to what we're doing on offense. He gives us that speed on the edge that really had been lacking, and so it's good to have Daniel fill a role for us in that regard. Defense played outstanding, start to finish. Thought the secondary played real well. We were in great position on those balls up the field all night long. I'm very proud of the way Smith Snowden played, and Blake Cotton and Scooby. I mean, those guys really, I think it was their best game of the year. So good to see that happen. Special teams, Monica Carvalho. He's a guy that's got some dynamic abilities, a punt returner. You saw him tonight. But overall, a solid game from start to finish. We started fast and never let up. There was no lulls in the game. We only punted one time. We've only punted one time this game, so we're not punting very much, and that's a good thing and a good sign. Didn't turn the ball over, and got a field goal block. It was a really nice scheme that Coach Scally put together, and saw a weakness in their protection and exploited it. And darn near had a scoop and score for a touchdown out of it, but did something go dead? Anyway, so questions?
How important was it for you to keep Tyson under wraps? I mean, he got 8 receptions, but for 40 yards.
Yeah, it really important. It was obviously a focal point, and Smith Snowden did an outstanding job on him. He shadowed him a lot of the night, not completely, but a lot of the time. And to hold a talent like that to just 40 yards is a credit again to the secondary and the way they played tonight. He's a heck of a player.
How did the lightning delay in warm-ups kind of affect the team, and how did you keep them locked in during?
I thought they handled it real well. What we did, we took a little different approach. We waited until about 25 minutes before kickoff to go out, and then just stayed out. You know, our usual routine is to go out at about 65 minutes before, and then do some things and come back in and go back out. But thought we had a good plan to not come back in once we went out and go out later, so they were not as exposed to the weather for as long, and thought that worked out. So yeah, no problem there.
Kyle, given the environment and the storm and conditions that everybody was dealing with, what did you make of the atmosphere here?
Pretty darn good, and we appreciate the fans that toughed it out and stayed. You did a great job, and the fans that left, we wish you would have stayed. You missed a great game, but I'm sure we would have had a much larger number of folks there had we not had the weather issue. But we love our fans. There's a great home field advantage here, and even though it wasn't maxed out tonight, the fans that were there were really loud and did a great job in the muss as well.
Kyle, for Devon to only throw 12 passes during the game, how much confidence does that show in your running game and that offensive line? You just run it down the throat.
Well, a lot, and we only snapped the ball 50-something times. I think it was 55 snaps, and so we didn't have a lot of snaps overall either. And the run game really was in high gear from the get, so we just stayed with it. And like I said, Devon was really efficient when he did throw the ball. And RD gave us some big plays again, like he has pretty much every game this year. But the run game was really what won this football game for us.
Kyle, as you mentioned, Devon was not hobbled in this game. Just how much does it open up the offense to kind of get him out in space and not have a nagging injury?
Yeah, it opens it up a bunch, and you saw some of the moves he made tonight. He just wasn't capable of making those moves the last few weeks, but now, with the bye week really helped him out, and we're elated that he's back to 100%.
Can you give us some insight into how the rotation, the defensive backfield played out? Obviously, Jackson Benny played a little bit of safety. Teo Johnson
played a lot of safety. Yeah, that's where he was exclusively tonight.
With Nate Ritchie out, with Tillman playing a little bit, just give us an idea of what the rotation might look like going forward.
Okay, well, you're going to see Jackson continue to play safety with Teo. So those will be the two primary safeties, and you're going to see Smith, Snowden, and Scooby on the outside in 43. And then when we go to Nichols, Smith slides into the slot corner, and Blake Cotton comes in. So that has been the rotation, most recently and tonight especially. And like I said, I thought those guys played well, but Benny really, he's more natural and more at home as a safety.
Kyle, after the Texas Tech loss, Devon said that the team was going to use it as fuel to help them. How have you seen this team actually embrace that and not just use it as kind of a platitude to kind of move forward?
Well, they've been a determined bunch ever since that loss. Not that they were not practicing well prior to that, but that was a very disappointing game to them. And you can tell they were hurt and ticked off, and I think they've responded, as well as we possibly could have hoped for.
Kyle, you talked this summer about this offensive line being the best one that you've had.
Mm-hmm.
Is tonight the way you expect them to play? Is that what you were talking about?
100%, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Controlling the line of scrimmage, open up holes for the run game. They pass protect exceptionally well, and very proud of them, like I said. You're kind of quiet, Mr. Sun Devil back there. Cat got your tongue?
I'll talk to you later.
Okay. All right. We good? No?
Sorry. Kyle, sorry, dude. Kyle Whittingham.
Yes, sir.
What was I gonna ask? Now I'm just stuck. Got my
Rockwell. They're Rockwell glasses, and they're really good. They're high quality. I got to give Rich a plug. He gave them to me free. So yeah.
Kyle, with the news, Sam Levitt was doubtful and out yesterday. Yep. Did that change any of your preparation for the Sunday?
No, it was really too late to make any wholesale changes. Nor would we have, had it even happened earlier in the week. Sam is a really good runner. That's how he's made the majority of his big plays this year is with his legs. And the kid we saw tonight, Sims kid, he's a runner as well. He's a good runner. And so even if we would have known a couple days before, we wouldn't really have tweaked much at all. So it was pretty well intact.
Coach, Bert Ficklin remains on 100% in
Yeah.
completion percentage this year. Can you speak to his progression across the season year?
Yeah, we think Bird's got a bright future here. He is a guy, I think I said last, after the West Virginia game, he's very poised, he's very in control, very confident, and nothing phases him. Nothing bothers that kid. He's just so in charge and has so much confidence in what he's doing.
Kyle, after the Texas Tech game, you said that there were issues just with finishing games. Obviously now it seems like the offense is just so much more well-rounded than what it was that game. Has there been anything that you've noticed, I guess, systematically or philosophically that's changed from that game in the past two?
Not really. You never want to make excuses, but I'm telling you right now that Devon, a lot of players would not have played in that game if they, he's a tough kid, and he mustered through it. And if you look at the biggest factor, that was probably the biggest factor. But again, it's our job to put the guy out there that gives us the best chance to win, and we thought it was Devon that particular night. So.
Yeah, Kyle, as Daniel Bray gets more reps and gets more comfortable, could you see his role expanding here as October and November move?
I think that would be a positive for us if it does expand. If he can, he made some really good runs tonight, and he's a really explosive, fast kid. He run, I think he was a 10-3 100-meter guy in high school, and so yeah, if we can continue to implement him and integrate him into what we're doing, that just gives us another dimension. We don't have many guys that can accelerate and hit the gas pedal like he can.
Kyle, I guess now we can talk about it. Initial thoughts on the rivalry game next week. Both of you should be top 25 teams, I think.
Yeah, they were Arizona today. Who won?
Overtime.
Oh, double. Okay, so should be a great matchup. I mean, a one-loss team and an undefeated team, and like you said, I would assume we'll be ranked. We don't pay a whole lot of attention to that right now, but that most likely will be the case. So I would say it's shaping up to be the biggest event in the state of Utah, sporting event like it is most years. So.
Time for two more.
Kyle, you guys are 28 of 29 in the red zone so far this season. What
Wow.
has Jason Bent brought to, maybe the play calling that has diversified, what you guys are capable of doing in the red zone?
Yeah, well, I can tell you a big part of red zone success at the college level is the QB run game, and Devon being able to do the things he does, and the offensive line. They go hand in hand, but that's probably been the biggest key to our red zone success is Devon Dampier's his ability to hit those. He's very instinctive. I've said it before. He could be a running back if he wasn't a quarterback, and that gives us that extra dimension. You get the +1 run game with the quarterback, and they don't have a guy to account for him most of the time.
Back here. Will you take any significant satisfaction knowing that's the last time you'll beat the Sun Devils?
Check with me later on that, PK. Yeah, we'll talk about that. You know something I don't know. Okay.
I don't know, I'm asking.
Pass. We good? Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
All right. There you have it. There was Witt's press conference. And so we've moved locations. I think we're a little bit not out so much in the elements, freezing our tails off. But just a couple quick things before we wrap this one up. Things that really stood out to us. It's been really impressive to watch this defense, watch John Henry Daly in particular. The effort he plays with, man, he had a stretch there in the first half where his get off at the snap, his burst out of his stance, caught the left tackle, dead and like sleeping essentially, and was able to get into the backfield, had a tackle for loss, almost had a sack, but a little quick screen, got the ball out of the quarterback's hands pretty quickly there. But you look at the numbers at the end of the game, Utah finished this one with 5 sacks on defense, which is something that I think a lot of people, I can think of one in particular, wanted to see. We don't want to be pressure rate Lake City. We want to use the acronym or not the acronym, but we, Sac Lake City, we want to live up to that. And we want to be able to use that. And I think we saw that tonight. It took some time, but eventually Utah's pass rush got home, finished the game with 3 sacks. John Henry Daly had a couple. Lavani Damuni had one of the more impressive blitzes up the middle, powering through a running back and then making a diving attempt to get the sack on Sims. Really impressive stuff on that front. And then on the other side of the ball, keep in mind, Arizona State came into this one leading the conference in 19 sacks, zero given up by the Utah offensive line. So really impressive job there.
Yeah, and another thing to keep in mind, Utah had 7 drives tonight and scored on 6 of them. That's huge. Like that's about as huge as you can get. It got out a punt early in the game. Poor Orion Phillips just wants to go out and do his job, but this offense makes it hard on him, and that's a good problem to have. And one crazy thing is 7 drives, only 8 third downs faced. And on those third downs to go 4 for 8. Just a really good offensive production from Jason Beck and the gang tonight. 8 third downs on 7 drives. Just think about that for a second. It all goes back to getting good production on first down, and just some numbers that you love to see out of this offense.
Yeah, 38 downs, 8 third downs,
7 drives
on 7 drives. That's a crazy number. So yeah, really impressive. And then the great thing about tonight's performance, again, we got to see some of the young guys. Bert Ficklin, got into the game in the fourth quarter, led a touchdown drive with getting into the end zone there. Wayshawn Parker was big on that drive, had a nice 19-yard run late in that game. Saw Daniel Bray, who has looked really impressive the last 2 games. And Whittingham, as you heard, Whittingham said they need to integrate him even more into the offense. But finished tonight, 5 touches and how many yards?
5 touches, 41 yards, so 8.2 a pop.
That's not bad. And you can see the speed. Like it's so like just his ability to get by defenders at the line of scrimmage, get to the edge. It just is another change of pace type of back that adds another exciting element to this run game, which now that you're into game 6 and game 7 and game 8 coming up on schedule, to add that, to incorporate that into what you've already established, it's just another thing that Jason Beck can now kind of tinker with and figure out different ways to utilize him and expand the run game and offense even more. So I think it's really impressive what he's been able to do with the minimal opportunities that he's had so far. But clearly he's a guy that Whittingham, and I think everybody would agree, everybody else would agree, he's a guy that needs to see more opportunities for sure.
Yeah, to get that experience as a true freshman and to be able to make that impact as a true freshman. Obviously Hunter Andrews went down. You see Bray get in motion and take some of those hands off coming out of motion and taking those for some good little chunk plays.
Yeah.
Jason Bags, that kind of works. Jason Beck has a very deep bag.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And with Bird Ficklin, this is now, I think, his 5th game that he's played this season. And, it's clear that the offense doesn't change much with him, coming in for Dampier. And I think that's significant. It's also kind of telling, with the quarterback situation. But Bird just made another great throw tonight. I was actually, in the end zone watching from behind Bird Ficklin make that throw over the defender to get it to Otto Tia. It was a really impressive throw on the move. And I think just continuing to get him involved in the games, late in the games, to run the offense, get Dampier out of the games, which is great, but really impressed with what we've seen so far from Ficklin and some of the other freshmen that got opportunity today. So, dude, any final thoughts before we wrap this one up?
Honestly, just felt like we saw everything we needed to see from Utah today, and I feel like I'm sounding like a broken record, but it's only twice in a row. Felt that way coming out of the West Virginia game as we left Morgantown. Feel that way as we wrap things up here at Rice Eccles, but tonight was all about how can Utah's offense look against stingy Arizona State defense.
Yeah.
And I think we got some answers. And there's a huge game on tap, and look forward to getting into that with everybody in the coming week. But tonight, tomorrow, enjoy a win.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you don't want to take this win for granted. We understand the context with Sam Levitt being out, but don't take it for granted. 42-10, that's significant because there were a lot of reasons for Utah to overlook this matchup. Levitt being one of them, the conditions being another, the rivalry game next week being another factor that Utah very easily could have overlooked this game. But they came in, they handled their business. Now they're able to enjoy this one a little bit, just a little bit, before they turn the page onto the rivalry game. I can't call it what it's dubbed because of who I work for, but we know what it is, and obviously the rivalry game, it's a big one. It's the biggest event in the state of Utah, arguably, and we're going to be looking at very, very likely a top 25 matchup, Utah at BYU, for all the marbles, man. It's going to be a lot of fun, and credit to Utah for taking care of business tonight, and now they can go into that one, with a lot of momentum on their side, and I think that's a big thing for them.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Well, Bennett, dude, appreciate you, man. And we'll wrap this one up. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. I'll have this posted later, so if you missed it, you can go back and watch it. But appreciate everybody. Big win for Utah, 42-10 over Arizona State. Turn the page with the Utah Blockcast. We'll get back in the behind the mic Sunday night for our episode that'll drop on Monday. So appreciate everybody, and stay warm. Get warm. Get warm. Stay warm.